Alrighty guys, it is Qaamans here today, and I am joined with the legendary Dino Rhymestyle, who unfortunately has more subscribers than me nowadays. And I'm also joined with the up-and-coming Dragon Ball Nation. So say hello to everybody, guys. But anyways, in today's video, we will actually be talking strictly about this upcoming movie and how we think it's kind of interesting how Frieza has given Vegeta himself an opportunity to potentially join his actual army. Now, we actually did a video talking about how this could potentially be connected to Goten and Trunks and how they might be in a stressful situation. But I think it was pretty interesting because we would all believe that Vegeta is a character who would never join Frieza in 10 trillion years. So I found this a really interesting topic. So without wasting any more time, Rhymestyle, why don't you jump in and share your thoughts, bro?
Would Vegeta ever join Frieza? Part of an offer. I think the answer is simple here. It's no. He would never do it. Like, no, absolutely not. Even if Trunks was enslaved by him for whatever reason or a hostage, I feel like Vegeta would still say no and figure out a way to find Frieza and whoop his ass. Like, there's no way in hell after what Vegeta went through in his life that he would ever accept that offer. Even if you look at, like, even if we're gonna use Majin Vegeta as an example, for whatever reason, I say Majin Vegeta was the one who was like actually evil and stuff, was to get offered, he would still say no, just because as a Saiyan, he probably could not get back down, you know, on his knees like that and just give up. Like, there's no way he would ever join him.
What do you think about Dragon Ball Nation?
I think that I agree. The answer is no. He would never want to, considering his, actions in Battle of Gods, which is the most recent canon evidence we have towards his behavior. He was very well invested as being a good guy, and there's definitely no way in hell that he would ever want to join Frieza. Whether or not he would want to join if Trunks was like captured or something, that's up for debate. I think if it was the last thing he could ever do, I imagine he loves his son as well as his wife very much, and if it's the last thing he can do, I think Vegeta's the kind of guy that wants to get things done and wants to get what he wants. So if he wants his kid and his wife safe, I think he'll do whatever it takes. That's just my opinion. If he can possibly find a way around it, I think he will. But we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, this is a very interesting topic because I was looking at some of my comments on my previous video, and a lot of subscribers are actually thinking that Frieza will not be defeated in this movie itself, and that this could possibly be a second part, and we can possibly see the return of Frieza's empire where Vegeta's kind of forced to make a decision for, I guess you could say, a second attack, because Frieza, we all know that unlike other villains who just mindlessly kill, he's not the type of villain who just gonna kill you for no reason. He wants to get something out of it. He will hire you to work for his empire. He wants to get something out of you, and that's what separates Frieza from the other villains who just basically kill because they're either bored or they're just completely sadistic. So that's one thing that I found really interesting about this topic. Now, going back to you, Dino, what do you personally think about Vegeta himself in regards to his family?
What do you mean by what I think about himself?
Do you think that if Vegeta would consider, like, for whatever small possibility that Vegeta considers actually joining Frieza's empire, how do you think he would look that would impact his family? Do you think it would be for his gains or for them?
It would be for his gains, hands down. But I still don't see him doing it. Even like, Frieza could freaking enslave Bulma and Trunks tomorrow and he still wouldn't join them. He will fight to get them back. I just feel like it's like what Dragon Ball Nation said is he's to the point in his life where he's pure. He's like, he's done with his not his selfish like desires that we saw, towards the end of the series, where but Majin just like be stronger than Goku, like he's done past that. He even says it like when he watched Goku be stronger than him in the Majin Buu fight. He's to a point where he's done. Like, he's all about just bettering himself, becoming a stronger person himself, and raising his family. That's Vegeta at the end. Now, if we're looking at, let's say Vegeta, maybe in like the Cell Saga, I could probably see him small possibility of wanting to do it. But like this, not this Vegeta. This final Vegeta is just not. It's done. Like, he wouldn't do it.
I mean, honestly, though, Rhymestyle, the biggest reason why I would never think that Vegeta would consider joining Frieza, not just because he blew up his entire race practically, is because Frieza killed him.
Job security.
Exactly. I mean, Frieza literally killed Vegeta. But I mean, my thing is, Rhymestyle, that based off of this movie, because Frieza would be offering Vegeta the chance to join his empire, this heavily implies that Vegeta is going to be significantly weaker than Frieza to the point where he would have no choice. Because if Vegeta was stronger than Frieza, Frieza wouldn't offer him to do it. Because Frieza obviously knows that what can he do to stop Vegeta. But if he's telling him, it's kind of like saying, Vegeta, you really have no choice. Join my empire or Bulma, Trunks, the rest of these people on this planet are going to be completely wiped out and I'm going to enslave the earth. That's kind of how I view this movie to actually take place, where Vegeta really doesn't have a point, and I think that maybe Beerus and Whis can actually jump in. That's what I honestly think is probably going to have to take place for this movie, because, I mean, it's just a complicated situation, wouldn't you say, Dragon Ball Nation?
I would completely agree with everything you just said.
So how do you think it will play out?
I think that I do agree with what you said earlier. From what your subscribers are saying, that Frieza won't die in this movie, and it could lead to something in the next film, because we don't know what that could pertain to the next film. I do think that he will be in the next movie, and whatever role he plays, we don't know yet. But as far as Vegeta, potentially having a major role, as far as Frieza's empire, that is something we do obviously have to see. As far as Beerus and Whis jumping in there, we can't gauge Frieza's power compared to Beerus right now, but I think he would be closer. If we're going to gauge Frieza's abilities, I'd say it'd be closer to Whis instead of Beerus. But those are my thoughts on that whole situation, really.
Well, remember, it was said that Beerus was 50% weaker than Whis, because Toriyama said that on the scale, Goku would be a 6, Beerus would be a 10, and Whis would be a 15, which, and 50% stronger is significant. So, I mean, you gotta think that if they jumped in, it would have to be serious, but I feel like they're gonna have some role in it. And Black and Fist actually recently uploaded a video talking about what role they would have, so let's kind of quickly tackle two little topics in this video. Rhymestyle, what role do you think Beerus and Whis will have in this movie in regards to Frieza himself?
I think they're gonna be neutral. Yeah, I think they're definitely gonna be neutral, just because I don't know, it's tough because I know Beerus hates Frieza, but like, I just still see them both as neutral, just because that's Beerus' character. Beerus isn't the type of person that will just jump in like, yeah, let me just go ahead and handle this real fast. Like, he's gonna be, you know what, I'm gonna let you guys handle it, and if you guys can't handle it, I'll jump in. Like, he'll throw in those excuses. Like, I just see them both as being neutral, other than the fact that, Whis is obviously training Goku and Vegeta.
Now, how would you say this would play out if Frieza somehow finds a way to actually ascend past Beerus in power?
I think he's going to, actually. I honestly think he's going to ascend past him, because, like, I mean, at this point, let's see, what was the strength difference? Like, Beerus was fighting at, like, what, 80%, when Goku was fighting at 70%. So that means Goku's max strength is just slightly behind Beerus's. I feel like at this point, 3 years later, they're training with, they obviously must have been training with Whis for an X amount of time. He's probably, like, to the point where he can actually keep up with Beerus, somewhere around there. Exactly. But, like, Whis is obviously still strong because he is, way stronger than Beerus is. So I feel like, honestly, that this form of Frieza will have to be stronger than Beerus. If not, as Dragon Ball Nation said, stronger than Whis.
Yeah, I would completely agree with what you said there about the whole training.
So you do believe that Frieza is going to become godlike, even though he's not technically wink a god?
Yep.
That's very interesting. I mean, Dragon Ball Nation, how do you think they will play out? Like, do you think that Frieza will ascend past them, or do you think that they'll just kind of be like watching from the sidelines? Because from what we saw in the trailer, we saw them in outer space with what looks to be like a bunch of asteroids, and I thought that was really interesting, because we saw also the trailer that a planet was exploding. We don't know which one it was, and maybe that could just be for effects, but I thought that was a very interesting thing to see. What do you say?
Right. I think as far as their roles in the film, I think that, like I said, Frieza will ascend past Beerus. I'm not sure whether or not he will ascend past Whis. I think he'll be comparable. That'll probably be the extent of that. I think Whis will be kind of neutral in this film for the most part, but I'm 80% sure we'll see a confrontation between Frieza and Beerus. And as far as that scene you were talking about with them in kind of an asteroid field, I would imagine that's some sort of a a look at their training, or Whis' training. Maybe Goku and Vegeta are training together and they're looking over it. That's a possibility. It's unclear because it was such a short scene, but those are my thoughts on that.
Well, my final point was that if you look at the very, very, very last few seconds of the trailer, and if you're watching on my channel, you'll probably see a quick clip. It looks like there's actually like a planet itself that's being blown up. Like, you actually see like the planet exploding. Now, they could just do this for effects, But I think that if that happens, I mean, this could really be a serious movie that could, provide a sequel. And, I mean,
You know what? You know what I think that plan was?
What's that, Dino?
I think that's a plan that Frieza goes on where he actually ascends. And I think the reason why that place explodes is because him powering up alone.
That's a very, very good idea.
That's a very, very good point. Well, we'll see. Well, do you guys have any final things to say before we close this out?
No. Vegeta won't join Frieza, and I still think he's going to be the one that delivers the kill, which I'm excited about, and I really hope because he needs to get revenge finally. And Frieza's going to be pretty badass. And I don't think he's actually going to make it to the second movie if there's a second movie. I think he's going to die in this movie.
Or at least be sealed away to some degree.
Yep.
What do you say, DBN?
I think that he will. It's definitely a high possibility that he will lead into the next movie. Even though this movie's supposed to be long-ish, I do hope Vegeta does land a killing blow. If that happens, that's definitely the right thing to do. But I do think he'll survive into the next movie. But I basically said that all I can say at this point.
All right. Well, that looks pretty interesting. This is a pretty, it's a pretty good topic because there's so many different things that could happen with the movie. But I hope you guys enjoyed and you check out Rhymestyle. You probably heard him at least 10 trillion times by now. And Dragon Ball Nation. So we all really appreciate your feedback and I hope you guys enjoy. So most importantly, over everything else, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And say your outros, dudes.
Peace!
I'll catch you later.
Peace.
See you later, everyone.